You'll see how every line has a number. Okay? That's called a HUD-1 statement. It's also called a settlement statement. It's also called a closing statement. And you will see those every time you work with a buyer or seller, every transaction, both the buyer will have one and the seller will have one. You need to learn how to read these, and we'll train you in real estate. Once you get in real estate, we'll train you how to read them. Because you need to know where everything goes, where the expenses are, and so forth. So when you list a house for a seller, you can explain to them, here's what it's going to cost you to sell your house so you can know how much you're going to actually net in your pocket. Because if I have a $1 million property, and I owe $700,000 on it, and I sell it, how much equity do I have if I owe $700,000 on a $1 million property? How much equity? I have $300,000 in equity, but if I sell it, how much money am I going to net in my pocket? More or less than $300,000?
Less.
Less than $300,000. Why? Because there are closing costs. There's going to be, you're going to pay your commissions, you're going to pay escrow fees, title fees, home, termite treatment fees, and all kinds of, transfer disclosure, transfer tax, all kinds of stuff is going to be paid. And there'll be closing costs. And there's other things that are paid at closing that are not really closing costs, like tax prorations. Make sense? There's different costs that you'd have to pay them whether you sold your house or not, but at closing they're going to collect them. Does that make sense? And so you have to make sure you're educating your seller that they're like, well, I'm not paying that. Well, no, you're paying it because if you kept the house, you're still paying it.
Kevin, is there a general percentage that is somewhat inclusive? Could you say that at the end, the majority of these things kind of average out to be an X spread?
8%. To sell a house, 8% of the sales price. Yep. That's just the standard. Okay? All right? Now, here, and I'm going to do this real quick and then we're going to move on. But here's what sellers think. They calculate your commission as an expense. Okay? That's how they think about your commission. Okay? And that's how a lot of sellers think about your commission. Okay? Do you consider car insurance to be an expense?
Yeah.
Okay? Do you need it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you consider going to the dentist an expense? Okay? Is there a value for what you're paying?
Yes.
Absolutely. So see, a lot of times sellers will calculate it's going to cost me X to sell my house. If I do it on my own, it'll cost me less. The reality is it'll probably cost you more. And your risk is exceptionally higher, especially in California, which is the most litigious state on the planet. Okay, and I need you guys to start thinking this way and understanding that don't think you're coming into an industry where you get paid, make a freaking lot of money easy. You make a lot of money hard. You make a lot of money by providing expertise and education and guidance and protection. Okay, you do not. Listen, when you sell a $600,000 house, and you, or what was it, for $30,000, and you get a $15,000 commission with the $500,000, you don't get paid a $15,000 commission because you marketed their house well. Okay, marketing the house is the easiest thing in the world to do, but every real estate agent is out there trying to convince sellers I have the best marketing plan. Okay, when we come back from lunch, I will show you guys the value of your marketing plan, which is basically crap. Your marketing plan is so irrelevant. I do not get paid for a marketing plan. I get paid for a result. Okay? I mean, how many of you when I took my car to the bumper guy to get fixed, okay, I did not ask to see his tools. Okay? I don't pay him for the tools. I didn't pay him for the hours. I paid him for the result. Make sense? When you have a plumber come out to do something for you, you're not paying him for his, I mean, he may charge you hourly. Okay, but how many of you ever saw the old story, the plumber, he comes out, somebody's got a plumbing problem, he comes out and he listened, he did mess with it, listened a little bit, and then he took his wrench and he turned it a couple of times, and then he said, that's it, how much did that be? $300. And the guy said, $300? I could have done that myself. He said, you know, that was not, he said, yeah, see, here's the difference, is that I don't get paid $300 for the time. I got paid $300 because I knew what thing to turn. That's the deal. And so it's the expertise that I help sellers get the results they want. I help them get as much or more money in their pocket most of the time. And that is true. and you protect them from a lot of, you are insurance for them. You guide buyers, same thing. You guide them through the process, you protect them from stupid mistakes. Okay? If that's the way you, and that's the way you gotta see your business, and that's the way you gotta see yourself and what you do. And if you, the worst kind of agent is one that thinks that the commission is something that they get paid that they don't earn. Because they think they're just out there to get the deal done. And they're not protecting the best interest of their client. I mean, do you know how many things can be bad for your buyer who's buying a condo? I mean, do you know the risk? Do you know? See, a seasoned, professional, skilled agent learns those things. And until you do that, you need mentorship, you need training, and so forth. So there's just so many things that you got to do. But you got to think this way: that I am not an expense. Okay, I am an investment for a seller. I provide a service of value. Okay, page 92, the Truth in Lending Act. We already talked a little bit about that. Regulation Z. Bottom of page 92 is the right of rescission. I'm not going to go into this right now at all. But just right of rescission means the right to cancel. To rescind is to cancel. R-E-S-C-I-N-D. Okay. Okay, let's talk about, real quick, the last thing I'll talk about is Regulation Z is how they advertise cost of money. Look at page 97. Page 97 is about, at the very bottom, it says, this is great value, and then it has financing stuff. And it says financing at the bottom of it. And notice where it says financing, $250,000, $50 down payment, 20% at 6% interest, it's a 6.09% APR. And it says 6% interest, and then it says 6.09 APR. What's the difference? Everybody see that? Okay. The difference between interest and annual percentage rate is the total cost of the loan. Okay, so if I'm borrowing, and I'm going to do $100,000 for simplicity, $100,000 loan at 10% interest. Okay, 10% interest. How much does that loan cost me a year?
$10,000.
Okay, it costs me 10% of $100,000, right? Which would be $10,000. Okay, so that would be the interest, right? This is called simple interest. Now, if that's $10,000, what would be the APR? Well, if that's it, if you just, hey, I'll loan you $100,000 if you have 10% interest, that's the APR. But what the APR does when you borrow a property is, what are the loan fees? What are the processing fees? So there's 1 point discount fee. So there's $1,000. So let's say that there was $1,000 loan. We just call it an origination fee, and then there was a $500 processing fee, and whatever. We'll just do that. So there's $1,500 in fees. Make sense? So now, how much did it cost me to borrow this money? Well, it cost me in a year. It cost me $10,000 plus a 30th of that, if it's a 30-year amortization. Does that make sense? So if you take, and I'm oversimplifying this, with 1,500, so 1,500 divided over 30 years would be how much? 100? Whatever. So that interest rate may be 10.01% in this case, or maybe 10.1%. Yeah, it's 10.1%. 10.1% would be the APR. Ballpark. Does that make sense? So whatever so the APR, this is how it'll be defined, is the total cost of borrowing money. It's the total cost of the loan. How much did this money cost me? Okay, make sense?
Is that always done, or are the fees sometimes just paid up front? You just say, okay, there's
Even if you pay the fees up front, that's still the cost of borrowing the money. These may have been paid up front. It's still the cost of borrowing the money, so it affects the APR.
So you're still paying it.
What if somebody buys the interest rate down, it's going to cost them 2 points to buy the interest rate down, 1/8 of 1%. And they paid $2,000 to buy it down. That still, how much did that money cost them? Cost them another $2,000. So that goes into the APR, even if they paid it up front. And they typically do. Make sense? It costs you more. You want to borrow $10 from me? It's going to cost you $11. You got to pay me $1 now, and then you owe me $10. How much did it cost you to borrow the $10 from me? $11. Okay. Now, when you paid it back, then the final out of your pocket was 1%, right? So it wasn't free. But what if I charge you? You're going to borrow it today, and you're paying it back tomorrow. I charge $1 a day for the $10, plus $1 up front. So now how much did it cost you to borrow? So now you pay me $1 today to loan you $10. When you pay me back tomorrow, you're going to pay me. You're going to also owe me $1 interest. So now you're going to pay me back $12. How much did it cost you to borrow the money? 2%, 20%. So the actual cost to borrow that money was 20%, not 10%. I only charge 10% interest, but it would cost you 20% of that money to borrow from. Does that, everybody follow me on that? And so, to be honest to borrowers, they were saying, "Oh, we'll get you 3% interest. It's just going to cost you 5% up front to get it." So how was that? That was the teaser rates. People were saying, "We'll offer you the lowest interest." And people want to shop. You're going to have buyers that want to shop around for the lowest interest rate. Screw that. Get a house. How do you get a house? By getting a loan. How do you get a loan? By getting somebody that's legit, a bank that actually will get you the loan. Because do you realize right now, guys, 50% of real estate transactions are not closing. Everybody look up here.
Why is that?
Look up here. As soon as everybody looks up here, I'll talk. Okay, guys, everybody look up here. Give me your attention. Give me your attention. 50% of your houses are not closing. Why? They can't get a loan. You mean they didn't get pre-approved? No, they got pre-approved. It's that hard to get a loan right now. Okay? So, when you have buyers who want to shop around for the best interest rate, okay, can I tell you why I'm concerned about that? Because over 50% of buyers, and it's higher than that of buyers that are actually getting financing. You want to get financing? Do you want to have less than a 50% chance of getting the house, even if we get the seller to accept your offer? Well, no, I want the house. Great. Then let's use this lender. Now, you're going to have trainers and all this is going to tell you can't recommend or require them to use lender. No, you can't. But you want to work with me? Use my lender. And I tell you, you can't tell me that. I just did.
I read somewhere that
Off the record.
that they're going to start looking at a new way to determine eligibility for loans besides FICO scores.
You already do.
And what are those things now that they look at besides FICO?
How much money do you have?
Your assets.
How much money do you make? How much debt do you have? All that. You have to prove it. Yeah.
They were supposed to do that anyway, right?
They do it.
I mean, in the past.
Yep. Welcome to the real estate market, we are. Life. All right, guys, we're going to take a lunch break at 12:30. By that clock, let's just go by that clock here. At 12:30, we're going to start back. Okay, at 12:30, we're going to start back. So we're taking a lunch break. Now, so for those of you who are wondering about lunch, right across the street is Vons. If you don't know, so across the street is Vons. In Vons, they have a sushi thing in the back where you can get really good sushi. It's already pre-made stuff, but it's real. I'm just telling you, we're sushi snobs, and it's good sushi. So you can get sushi roll. They also have a deli there. They also have Chipotle right across on the other side of Wells Fargo. They also have a Chopsticks over in the corner, that far corner of that the Vons market area. So you have all of those choices. And they have a Jamba Juice if you want to go with fresh fruit.
You know, how's parking in that parking lot?
Just one. Not the whole, like half of it. I don't need that much.
Oh, I know, but sometimes it's so crowded.
On Saturday you should be okay, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not usually here moving in and out.
But I'm making my way out of it. It's lucky I don't have my double stroller today, then really.
There.